For this video, I'm going to be sharing a lot of testimonies as a targeted individual. And I want to start by saying that I'm actually a real targeted individual. I've been targeted since birth and up until this point of my life, and I'm still being targeted. Um, I'm a victim of targeted individual. Like, it's a continuously thing that I go through every day that I wake up 24/7, always going through this. And so I want to start by saying that I've been targeted since birth. Um, I was born with two narcissistic parents, very narcissistic, and I was the black sheep of that family. So being the black sheep of that family, I was targeted at a low level from my family, right? From my other sibling, and they would just gang up on me and you know, humiliate me, terrorize me, bully me, and put me down. So I went through that up until growing up, you know, um, in my early childhood. I was targeted by my family and since birth. So I I was born with two narcissistic parents. One of them is a covert narcissist and a malignant narcissistic father. And I remember when I first started going to school, I've always been very bright, highly intuitive. I had a lot of spiritual gifts at an early age. I was a very creative thinker, and I would think outside the box. And just the way that I was very different from other students compared to me. And so I would stand out like everywhere I would go. And that would just make me the target. And I started off school, and I started off preschool, and they said that your daughter's too sensitive. She needs to stop being so sensitive. We need to change this about her. It's bad. And they started treating me as if I was defective, as if there was something wrong with me. And they would just ostracize me. So it started off like that. Teachers would complain and make remarks about my sensitivity being a problem to them. And they would tell my parent, you know, your daughter's too sensitive, and we need to change that about her. She needs to change. And so I always internalized it as my sensitivity was bad, and I needed to suppress my emotions and be less of myself and make myself a lot more smaller and play small around everyone because it triggered them. It made them angry and enraged. And I went into this. I've been targeted since birth, so let me explain a lot of the events that took place in my life. That was the first that I recall as always being judged and criticized for being highly sensitive and for being an emotional person and just feeling too much of my emotions. And they were trying to suppress it and make it like you need to change because you're gonna suffer a lot if you continue to be this sensitive. But I that's just the way that I am, and I couldn't change it. Even till this day, I can't change being sensitive. I can't change being caring a lot about humanity or caring a lot about people. It's just something about me. I can't change that part about me. And they tried to change me in a way that's not me. And I remember as a little girl as well, elementary school, there was a lot of noise outside, like the person who cuts the grass, and there was a lot of noise. And I'm very sensitive, so I'm sensitive in like my hearing, my scent, things like that. Like I have very heightened senses, and I can pick up things very quickly. So all that noise would irritate me as a little girl, and I would just get so irritated because there was so much noise. And then the neighbors would make a lot of noise. They would bang on the walls and late at night, and I couldn't sleep, and slam the doors. there was a lot of noise campaigns happening even early on. And I remember as soon as I would wake up, there was you know, the Freemasons, the birds chirping every time you wake up, and that's like a sign like, oh, she woke up, so let's start the noise, let's start everything. And I went on to first grade, the same thing, you know, she's too sensitive, we need to change that about her. She doesn't focus, she doesn't listen, just certain things. I was always being negatively, they would negatively focus on me, like the focus was always negative. And I was a positive person, I was a positive child, I was full of love and light and positivity, and they would just always try to make me out to be something that I wasn't. and and so they started off by saying like she has ADD. So they used that attention deficit disorder to put me into that program and to try to target me as if there was something so wrong with me, and I didn't feel like there was something wrong with me. I knew that there wasn't something wrong with me. I felt it's not that I'm being arrogant, but I always knew that I was highly intelligent, and I wasn't meant to be in a special education program because I I always, what's it called? I would easily just pass the exams. It was too easy for me. I needed to be challenged more, and they put me in those programs where I was being dumbed down and I had to play small, and I was just made to feel like there was something really wrong with me, which there wasn't. And so yeah, they used that, but not only that, but the teachers, all the teachers I've always had, they always would target me and bully me. The teachers would be the ones doing the whole bullying and putting me down in front of the whole entire class. Every single teacher, majority of the teachers that I've had, they always would target me one way or another. And I remember first grade I would be targeted, and then the next year, and I was always a loner. No matter what, I would try to make friends, and they would like me. I would get along with people, and we would become friends, and automatically they would be against me the next day, and they wouldn't even speak to me. And I was wondering to myself, I didn't even do anything to them. Why did they just stop talking to me all of a sudden? What happened? Like, why am I being always isolated? Everywhere I go, it's always isolation. And I'm just being myself. I'm being true, and people would like me. The little kids, cause we're little kids. Little kids are just, we're all innocent. We're all pure, and we don't have hate. And the teachers, the people, they would always cause this separation, this division, and so. Well, yeah, I remember that. And I remember fifth grade. Well, I was always being isolated, but I remember fifth grade specifically. I was very talkative, very expressive. I would speak my mind. I was just a very outgoing and very extroverted child, like full of love and full of light, and just always happy, just smiling and being just being just this light. And the teacher would get mad and would tell me, would always target me. Everyone else would be talking in the class, but the focus was always on me. No matter what, the negative focus was always on me. And they would, little kids my age, they would do bad things and they would get away with it. They were quickly excused for the same exact thing that I would do, but I was the one that was being persecuted, and they were the ones that were being just left alone as if they didn't do anything wrong. And I would always question, I was like, why are you always calling on me, and why aren't you focusing on them if they're doing the same exact thing? They're talking too. Why am I just being the one that is being targeted? And I was very talkative, and the teacher was like, you need to stop talking, you need to focus, and this and that. And the teacher even moved my desk one time all the way towards the front, and my back was facing everyone. This is so cruel. This is not okay. I don't care if I if the teacher says, well, you were a distraction, who does that to begin with? Who puts a child's desk right in front of the classroom right there, isolated, just their desk alone, with no one near them, and just in front of the entire class, facing the back? And everyone else is sitting in back of me, and I'm giving the back to everyone else. And that's my desk every time I go in to that class. And not only that, I would always get held back. I wasn't even most of the time I would be punished over really minor things, and the teacher would tell me, "You're not allowed to go to recess. That's the consequence. You're gonna have to stay here, and everyone else can go to recess, but you. We're gonna punish you." I was always being punished for just anything. My whole life, it was like constant, every single day, being picked on, being targeted, being criticized, being embarrassed in front of the whole class, being laughed at, being humiliated. It was a humiliation. And yeah, the teacher put my desk. I remember that because it's cruel. It's a cruel act to do that, to put a child's desk right in front of the entire class, isolated, alone. And I was being friends with people. I was very social. I was a very social butterfly, and people would like me. And I was friends with almost everyone in the class. They liked me. We would get along. We would talk and everything. And the teacher would cause this separation, because how can they go from one day, "Oh, Adriana, how are you?" and talking to you, to the next day just being like "You're weird," or "Don't talk to me," all of a sudden. And I'm like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. But it was just that's what was always going on. And it's not just like, oh, every student gets picked on. Every child goes through that. Every child goes through being picked on. You have to have thicker skin. This is not about just being picked on. This is about every single day. Every day you go, everywhere you go, you're always being targeted. You're always being watched, and you're always being monitored as if like you're a threat to them, or you're outcasted and excluded from the whole entire group. It's like a whole isolating you. Like, now you're a loner. Now you're just all by yourself, and you can't be a part of us, and we're gonna treat you differently. We're gonna give you a different treatment than how we treat everyone else. Everyone else is treated with respect and kindness, and everyone else is allowed to talk and to do that. But Adriana over here, no. We have to make sure that she knows that she's not allowed the same privileges as every other student, because she's a targeted individual. Because she has spiritual abilities and gifts, and she's a threat because she's different. Yes, it's divide and conquer. So, I remember all that. I remember also always being pulled out of class. Every chance. I was just in class, and automatically they would pull me out of class. And I was like, why am I always being pulled out of class? Very continuously, over and over again. Adriana, come out. We gotta go do some examinations, study you. And it was always a psychologist in front of me, testing me, testing my brain or dissecting me in a way. I always felt like that, okay, let's go test you on stuff like that. And they would give me certain blocks. They would give me certain words, certain math questions that I would have to answer, and then they would score my intelligence in a lot of exams. But it was continuously being pulled out of class, and I was like, but I'm taking a test, or I'm doing this right now. And they're like, nope, you gotta go, come on, follow us. And they would put me in this room where it's just a psychologist and me in front of them, and they would just test me. So it was always like that in elementary school. And I was like, I don't get it. Like, I'm just being a child. I'm just being happy. And why am I always being treated so badly by people? So yeah, it went on like that. And then but even my family would say, like, remember, she's different from us. Remember, she's not the same like us. She's different. I always remember my parents would say that. She's different, remember, to my sibling. She's different. You have to remember that. She's a little bit different from us, you know? So they would treat me differently, even in my household, even in school. Like everywhere I would go, I was always treated like less deserving. Then I went on to middle school. And same thing, you know, being excluded, being not being invited to hang out with people. I would make friends and they would all get together, and I was always a loner. I've been a loner since birth. And every time I would make a real genuine friendship, it was always being destroyed. Always. Someone will always get in the way of it and destroy it. And and so I went to middle school, and you know, same thing. The teachers would treat me bad. It was always the teachers. You know, it was mostly the teachers that would do this. They were the ones that were influencing everyone else's, reinforcing their bad behavior so other people can treat me the same way. Because the teacher is the one that's looked at like, wow, like we have to listen to the teacher. But if the teacher is treating this student as if there's something wrong with them and bad with them, everyone else follows along and continues that same exact mentality and treats them the same way that they see the teacher treating them. So, yeah, I went on to middle school, and, you know, in class, they would exclude me as well. And just, I would raise my hand, and they were like, you need to stop raising your hand so much. Why don't you let someone else talk? Or why are, just things like that. So, you know, I remember PE. PE was the worst in middle school because I was a loner. I was really a loner. I was just alone, standing there alone, and everyone else would have their friends, and, you know, they would all run around. And I was like, why can't I be a part of anything? Or why am I always being left out? And I remember in class, people would choose their partners, and everyone was, the teachers would say, you know, choose a partner that you want for this assignment that we have. And I was never chosen. They were like, oh no, we don't want to hang out with her. She's weird, or like they would really say cruel things. And when I was alone, just standing there, I would have people approach me and just say nasty, cruel things to me, like, oh, you look ugly today, or you're not so smart, you're actually stupid, and like really nasty, horrible things to me. And they would get in groups and they would just watch me. Like they were always just, their eyes were always on me. And I would get frustrated, and I was like, why are they always bothered by me? Why are they always so obsessed and addicted to what I'm doing? Why don't they just get a life and focus on themselves? If I'm not doing anything, I'm just minding my business, trying to get to just finish this day and get out of school, because I didn't like school. I was always being isolated and alone. And I went on to middle school like that. Yeah, I would ask questions and the teachers would get mad. I would see their faces and they would get mad. They were like, can you stop asking so many questions? Let someone else talk. Like you're not the only. I always got that. Always. The teachers would always say that, the same exact thing that I'm saying, like every time. Like, can you let someone else talk now? You're not the only student. Can you let someone else talk? And sometimes I would raise my hand and they wouldn't even acknowledge me at all. They would just ignore me. And I had my hand like this, and the teacher would choose another student, like, oh, go ahead. And I was like, I'm raising my hand, and the teachers would purposely ignore me while I had my hand like that up. And I was like, it can't be possible that they really can't see my hand when I'm just like waving. And other students would say like, oh, Adriana's raising her hand, and the teacher would just ignore it and be like, but that was continuously. Different teachers at different grade levels would do the same exact thing and say the same exact words. But they always wanted me to play small, and they always treated me as if I was less than everyone else. And um, yeah, the teachers were responsible in this situation, because how is it possible that I would make good friends and then all of a sudden they would always get sabotaged? And the next day that person would just act like they didn't know me, would act like they didn't like me anymore. And I wasn't even given any information as to why they didn't talk to me. But they just would stop talking to me, and I would never hear from them again. And it was like that. It was like I had a friend and then they would just disappear and I would never hear from them again. And I was left alone again. So yeah. Or the students would approach me and they would ask personal questions about me. And then I would give them personal information, thinking like, oh, I'm finally gonna be able to make a friend. And they would take that information and they would run with it and tell everyone else and make rumors about me that weren't true. And I had the whole entire system, the whole entire school against me, and I was just a loner. So I was like, how is this possible? I don't get it. Like, I would make good friends with people, and all of a sudden the next day they don't even know me, they don't even talk to me, they ignore me. And I'm like, this is not normal. Like, why is this constantly happening to me? What am I doing wrong? And I would go home and I would cry and I would just pray to God and tell him, what's wrong with me? Why am I being treated this way? I didn't understand. I was confused. I still didn't understand what a TI is. But this was part of the targeting individual program, and just events that would happen in my life. Like, I went to the park one time as a little girl, and I was on my scooter, and this van just approached me, this white van, and it was just an evil stare, like evilness in their eyes, and they would just stare at me like this, like all mad, and I would get frightened and scared. And I was like, why did this random white vehicle truck just drive into the park, the parking thing, and then give me that evil stare, and then they left. Like, they would just like being like kind of like the vehicle gang stalkers, that they just drive and near you wherever you're at, and they park their car and they observe you and they watch you, and then they just leave. So yeah, as a little girl, I was always being monitored. I always felt like that too. I always felt like there was always someone watching me, even in my own home. This is not paranoia, you guys. This is not paranoia. But I always felt like even in my own home, when I was just, reading or doing anything, I always felt like, I was always being monitored as a little child. And yeah, that's exactly true. Your childhood friends become perps. Yeah. And just for being different. I've always been different. I acknowledge that I'm different. Um, yes, they do provoke you. They bully you, and then when you react, they validate you, and then they're like, you see what we mean? That she's she's a bad person, or whatever they say. So yeah, so you guys, I went from elementary school being a loner. I went from middle school being a loner. I went from high school being a loner too. And high school was a lot more intense than than elementary. Middle school was intense. High school was very intense as well. Very intense. That almost broke me to the point of no return. Yes, it did. High school was very traumatizing for me. Um, Same thing, same thing. The teachers bullying me, harassing me, telling me, insulting me, treating me, ignoring me, and like I didn't even exist in the class. I would talk and no one would even pay attention. It was like whenever I would say something, no one even cared. They would just ignore me, pretend like no one spoke. Um, yeah, I was like an invisible person in school. I always felt invisible. Like, oh, you're an invisible person, the invisible one. And that's how they treated me, like an invisible person. But, how can I explain this? But yeah, high school was very bad. Very bad. I minimized it, but it was traumatizing beyond measures. Um, I lived in a inner city elementary school year, and then I had no choice but to move to another area because they only gave us two choices to move to, and I had to move to the suburbs with a lot of um, wealthy, well-established people, and most of them were very evil and very nasty individuals, very insecure, very arrogant, entitled. And high school was like that. It was filled with a lot of entitled people, a lot of narcissistic people, like very narcissistic and selfish and greedy and disgusting humans. They were just horrible. Their spirits were dark, like, ugh. Whew. And they would get mad whenever I would smile, whenever I was happy. It's like they always wanted to destroy it. Why are you so happy? Why are you always smiling? And then they would insult me or try to put me down and break me down. So high school, they were breaking me down, like breaking my self-esteem down, breaking everything about me down, spreading smear campaigns about me, like horrible things. But the worst thing is, as a targeted individual, I never figured out what was being said about me. I never actually got closure. I never got like information on what was being said about me. Everything was done in like secrecy. Like it's a secrecy, like it's a smear campaign, but you don't even get to know what's being said about you. And you're just wondering, like you just go in there in school and you're like, I don't even know what's going on. Like everyone looks at me like with a nasty, dirty look. Everyone's looking at me with so much hate and so much anger. And I'm like, what did I even do? Like, why are people treating me this way? Like, what's going on? Like, just confusion, just full confusion, and just being like unaware of what's going on and why people are just looking at you nasty. And the worst thing is, as a targeted individual, when you need help, when you're at your lowest, no one is allowed to help you. No one reaches out to see if you're okay. No one will actually lend a hand and actually offer help or anything. And you're just being like, why aren't people not helping? But you see them treating other people who are going through a difficult time, and they're helping them and they're giving them advice. But when it comes to you, no one offers any kindness your way. No help, nothing. You're just devoided from any of that. And attention, people won't even, like, they'll look at you, but they won't even, like. So yeah, it was really difficult, because I was quiet, because I went from being very talkative to being told that I talk too much, that I need to be more quiet and I need to be less of myself. And I took that identity with me. I carried those beliefs, that belief system that was very ingrained in me by my family, by acquaintances, and by society, saying that, I need to be less sensitive and I need to be less talkative. So I started to just silent myself. I wouldn't speak my mind. I was just very quiet and reserved, and I kept to myself. And people would even criticize me and judge me very harshly for being quiet and for not talking a lot or gossiping or just doing what they do. And, you know, so yeah, I was always being targeted. I remember even the dress code. The dress code in schools, there was girls who would wear very short shorts. And one time I was just wearing a spaghetti strap to school, just a spaghetti strap. And they targeted me. They were like, "Oh, you can't wear a spaghetti strap. We have to go and give you a shirt because you're showing a spaghetti strap." And I told the guy, "Why are you dress coding me when there's a lot of other girls who are dressed more provocative and who are showing a lot more than me? Why are you just targeting me?" And it was always like that, you guys. It's always been like that. It's like no one focuses on other people's mistakes. No one focuses on anybody's shortcomings or failures. But when it comes to you as a targeted individual, they're going to make a big deal about a tiny minor mistake. And they're going to exaggerate and even add more fuel to that mistake and make it seem like you are this horrible, this bad person, and you deserve how people are treating you. And you start to internalize it and think that maybe I do deserve this, but you don't even understand that it's just the targeting individual program that's set up like that, organized to make you feel that way, to self-sabotage yourself. And I went on, um, freshman year, no friends. Sophomore, same thing, okay? But senior year was the most difficult one because I couldn't take it anymore. I was at my lowest point at that grade level, 12th grade. And I remember that I just isolated myself. I would just get away from people because they would just come around just to tear me down, just to put me down. And the more sadistic part is that even when I was alone, they would still walk near me and try to look at me and observe me like I was this weird like this strange human being. They would just observe and look with their eyes, and they would smirk and laugh like and it was just like they had gratification towards tearing someone down, towards destroying someone. And I started off high school dressing up really nicely, doing my makeup all beautiful and just looking nice. And they would tell me, "You think you're all that? You think you're better than us, don't you?" And they would always try to put me down to their level. All the time I had people always tear me down. Tear me down. Even the teachers would tear me down. It's like everyone always wanted to put me down in one way because they didn't stand the fact that I was confident, that I loved myself, that I was authentic and different, and I wouldn't just fit in with everyone. I didn't conform to the way of society. I've never conformed. Ever since I was a little girl, I'm not easily controlled. I'm not easily manipulated. I'm not easily deceived by people who lie a lot. I could see through it. I could see through someone lying to me. I can see through someone being fake to me. I can see through someone being two-faced and pretending to like me when they don't like me. I could see all that I could see through a person's real spirit, like their real selves. And that would trigger them. That would make them mad. And then they quickly wanted to expose something that was wrong with me. And they would paint themselves out to be the good person. They were like, "I'm the good one, you're the bad one." And they would treat me horrible, but yet I was being told that I was bad. So, yeah, senior year, I kind of gave up on self-care. I started eating a lot. I would eat a lot. I would wear baggy clothes. Like I was doing bad. I was so bad during that time. Like very bad. Depressed beyond it was wow. And I had to go home and get abused again by the covert narcissistic mother. I had to go home again to get further abused. So it's like I go to school and I get abused. I go back home, same story. So it was just double, like twice, twice abuse. Like at home, but then you gotta go to school and go through the same exact thing, being targeted and being the scapegoat of everyone, and people throwing all their problems and projecting onto you and all that. So, and even my own sibling, my own sibling went to school with me in high school, and as I was a loner, my sibling would just stare at me, and he wouldn't even acknowledge me. He wouldn't say hi to me. It was just act like he didn't know me, like he didn't recognize me. And, you know, it hurts. Like, it hurts when you wouldn't do that to someone, but other people do that to you. And when you're there for them, but they're never there for you. And that's how it's always been. I was there. I would try to help even the people who would hurt me and even the people who would tear me down and who were envious and haters towards me. I would still try to be nice to them, and they would still try to attack me and stab me and laugh at me. They used my kindness against me. They used my empathy against me. They used the love I had for them against me to destroy me. Like, that's sick. That is sick. When I talk about that, I find that just sick. When you did nothing but want the best for everyone else, but they always want the worst for you. It's like, but I can't blame them, they're all being manipulated. They're all being targeted to target me, to look at me in a negative light. So yeah, I always felt like I don't get it. Like, why are people paying so much attention to me? Why don't they just worry about themselves? Why don't they just focus on themselves? What is it? And I would tell my sibling, like, why are people always bothering me if I don't even do anything to them? I don't even talk to them. What is it about them? And he would just say, they're just envious. But that's not what it was. It was because I was a targeted individual. That's what it was. But, yeah, it hurts when your own sibling just ignores you while you're at lunch and he's just staring at you alone. And I was just alone eating my food, just standing there eating, and he would be with his friends. And that's the worst thing is, like, my sibling, I'm not, how do I say it? We have different lives. Like, he fits in with everyone, he has friends and all that. But here I am being the one who just gets isolated and is a loner and is treated like the worst person on earth. And there's a lot of crazy things that happened to me in high school as well. Not only that, but I did track and field for a year, and I left my phone in the locker room, and a girl came back and she stole my phone. She hacked into my Instagram. She started messaging a whole bunch of guys and a whole bunch of girls, DMing them through my Instagram, and just saying horrible things, pretending to be me and pretending to be promiscuous, using my profile and my picture as if it was me. And the next day I go to school and I have people looking at me with disgust in their face. And I'm like, what did I do? And I was just like, what's happening? And I told them, my Instagram was hacked. That wasn't me. I didn't send you that message. It wasn't me. And they would never believe me. No one would ever believe me. When I would stand up for myself, I would try to, just make them see me in a better light. They would never they wouldn't even listen to me. It's like they didn't care what I had to say. They didn't care what I had to say about who I was as a person. It's like they already made their mind about me. So there was no fixing that, fixing people's perception of me. No, that's what I told them. I told them my phone was hacked, but they didn't believe me. They continued to believe that I was the one who actually sent those messages. And so high school was traumatizing. That's traumatizing when you go through something like that, through online bullying. And they hated me. I was like, I don't understand where's all this hate coming from? So, and it was always a smear campaign. Elementary school, middle school, and high school. There was always something being spread negative about me. Because I never got one positive encounterment with a person. Most of my encounterments of people have been very negative. So yeah. Even like no romantic relationship. I've never even been in any of them because they're always being destroyed. So, or everyone always wants to cause separation and division. Any relationship that I have, it's always being destroyed. It's like, no, you can't have any relationships. And rejection, I think that's what hurt a lot throughout my whole entire educational education as a targeted individual, is the rejection. That people will reject you and you don't even know why. And you just try to talk to them. I tried talking to this other girl who was also eating alone, and I was like, oh, hi, how are you? And she's like, ew, get away from me, don't talk to me. And I was like, what did I do? And just like, they would treat me like that. The other worst experience that I had in high school was as well, I sat down in a lunch table around a whole group of people on the table. And as I sat down on that table, every person got their tray and they left. They I just sat down on that table and each one of them just looked at me and they got their tray and they walked out and they left. And I was left there eating alone. Oh, that is tough right there. I remember that. And that really did something. Oh, no. That did something to me. Like, that really, I don't know how to explain it, but my spirit crushed. It crushed. It was like, I couldn't take it. It was like every day at high school, I didn't want to go. I would even try to lie, like, I don't feel good. I want to stay home. I would try to avoid. And one time I even went to go on this field trip for senior year. It was a field trip to this theme park, and I had to go get jeans because I forgot to bring jeans, so I had to go home. And I lived right near the school, and as I was walking over there, they sent the security guy, and then they were like, "Are you trying to leave school? You're not allowed to leave school." And I said, "No, I was just getting my jeans like everyone else is allowed to. Everyone else is going home and getting their jeans." But they would come after me and they would be like, you're trying to ditch school, aren't you?" And I said, "No, I'm just going to get jeans because I'm going to this field trip." But it was always constant. You see how they were watching me? Like, like everyone else left to go get whatever they needed. And when I did the same thing, I get the security guy just coming and approaching me. So, yeah. And when people say, you're not a real targeted individual, yes, I am. You don't know what I've been through. And I mean that. Don't ever discredit, don't ever lie to me saying that I'm not. Just because I don't reveal every single thing that I went through. Some things are so traumatic to me that I'm not just going to openly be vulnerable and just express all of that because it's painful. You know? But, yeah, I remember that. And here's the crazy part. You want to know? So, even in dances that I would go to, like the school dance, I still would be alone dancing. Like, no one would even be near me. Or I would get close to people and want to dance near them and just, hang out with them, and they would all just walk away and leave me there alone. So, yeah. But where was I getting at? Oh, so I went to that theme park, right? And I remember that theme park. Um, it was so nice, you guys. It was so nice because um, there was another school that went as well. Another school that went along with classmates that they hate me. They don't like me. None of them liked me. I was always alone. So it was so nasty. The way they treated me is disgusting. But when I went to that to that theme park, I made friends with the other school that was in another area. It was in like another country area, and I made friends with them. And it was so nice because after always being treated so badly, I meet up with these new people from a different school in a different area, and they're being so nice to me, and they're including me, even if it's just like a little short time period, but it's just that connection that I needed because I felt so disconnected from people. Like it was always like that. I mean, I've never felt like any real relationship, but it was just that moment where I just felt like this feels so nice. Like I'm finally able to have this human connection, even if it's just for a little bit of time, but I'm cherishing this moment and it feels nice. I was a sensitive, intelligent child and was ostracized at school in the 1960s. I did not understand. I did not bother anyone, but I did not punk out and try to please them. Exactly, Cynthia. That's exactly what I've gone through as well. The only difference is that I did try to please them with my people pleasing because I was I struggle with codependency from being raised by narcissists, and I developed that codependent mentality, like be there for others, put others before yourself, because that's what I was programmed to believe. But I'm trying to break that programming so I can put myself first before I put other people. Um, but yeah, that moment felt so nice, and the teachers were there and they got to see me hang out with other people, and I was happy. And I ignored the teachers. I didn't even look at them. I just like looked at them and I ignored them. I was like, nope, you're not ruining my moment, like, cause they. And then when the other when they that other school left, um, no, what actually happened? Hold on. I remember. So I was dancing with that other school from that different area, and there was two girls who were very sweet, very kind-hearted, and they came from an inner city. So I love people from inner cities because they're humble, you know. So I was happy, and I was so happy because those two girls were like, "Oh, you want to hang out with us?" And I was like, "Yes." And I was just hanging out with these two girls that I barely met, and it was so fun. It was so nice. And the people from my high school were just looking at me all mad and like with anger. And I was so happy because I was able to hang out with people for once. So that felt really nice. And yeah, I mean, it's traumatizing. That high school, all my education experience is traumatizing. I also remember even in the bus, no one would want to sit near me, or no one would want to allow me to sit near them. They were like, I would tell them, can I sit here? They're like, no, you can't sit here. And they would put their backpack. And then the bus driver was like, Adriana, you need to sit somewhere in the bus. And I was trying to look for a place to sit. And everyone was like, no, you can't sit here. And they would put their backpack. And then I would have to end up sitting with someone that they were mad. And they would just give me this negative vibe, like don't sit next to me. It was so nasty. But I mean, there's a degree that I don't blame them because they're being controlled. They're being targeted to treat me that way, and they're made to believe that I'm this horrible bad person because that's what they want them to think about me. So, yeah. I mean, now that I'm older, now that I actually see everything for what it was, I don't carry that, I don't carry that unforgiveness anymore. I'm trying to work on it and trying to be like well, these people were just being misled and deceived. They're under deception. So yeah. But it was intense. It was, oh, like, I still cry till this day because it brings back a lot of bad memories. It brings back a lot of bad memories that I don't want to remember. But I'm trying to make peace with it because I don't want the past to haunt me in my present. But I remember I even made a friend one time, and we were like really close. And she invited me to her birthday party, and all the people were lying. They were like, "Oh, I think she's lesbian," and I'm like, no, and that caused the division. It was just a bunch of lies being spread, and they saw me as a threat too. Like, people were intimidated by me as well, by my presence. My presence alone would intimidate a lot of people, and I didn't understand what I would even do. It's just as soon as I come in, people just like, and they were intimidated. They were like, "You're intimidating," or "You intimidate me," or "You think you're better than all of us," or "You act like you're all that." And it was constant. It was constantly like I had to play small. I really gave in to them. I gave in to them so many times where I would just shrink myself. Like, I would shrink. I was like this, like just being fully myself, and then I would have to shrink myself, like, so they can feel like they're better, so they can feel superior, so they can feel comfortable, because I made them feel uncomfortable. I made them feel like they can't be themselves fully around me, so I have to make myself small so they can be more of themselves. That's what I had to do all throughout my education. Always play small. Don't talk too much. Be more quiet. Don't be too expressive. Don't speak your mind. Do what other people are better than you. You have to feel like you're less than them. That's what they had me believe all this time. Ooh. So, yeah, I mean, I was unaware. I was unaware that I was a targeted individual. Growing up, I didn't know. I didn't know what I was going through. I really had no idea. I thought it was me. I thought I was the problem, and everyone else was just. But I mean, it was continuously. It was like event after event, and yeah. You know what the weird thing is? This is strange. But the people that went to my elementary school ended up going to my high school. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them. It's like your gang stalkers follow you throughout your whole life. So, elementary school people, middle school people went to my high school as well. And the people from my elementary school, they were they were in a different area, but they ended up going all the way to my school. And when I saw them again, they were acting so nice. They were asking me personal questions, like, "What do you do?" or "How are you?" They were just watching me, and like, I was like, "What? That's strange." And even in college, I would see people from high school and middle school and stuff like that, and it's like they follow you around. But not only that, here's the real. So, once I moved and I escaped that narcissistic, abusive mother that I was living with for 21 years of my life. And I had to escape by going to my other malignant, narcissistic, abusive father to get away from my mother. And I had to stay there for a while until I was able to move out alone. And, even my own family would target me. My father, the time that I stayed there, they would gossip about me. They would put me down. They would laugh at me. They would discredit me. They would say that that my mom is not that way, because she presents herself as a good woman outwardly in public, but behind closed doors it's a different story. It's a lot more abusive and controlling, and a covert narcissist is insidious abuse. That type of abuse will break you down to your core, like your soul. That's how bad, and it's detrimental. Detrimental. That's the word I can describe when one being of a covert narcissist, because they play victim. They play on sob stories. They play on your empathy and your sympathy, and they use that to always get their way, to always manipulate you, and to always get the upper hand. And my own parent was jealous, competing with me, and I was just a little girl, like, I'm better than you, I'm more prettier than you. I was like, I'm not competing with you. Like, how would I could be competing with my mother? But there's like rivalry. Even it was like rivalry in my family. It was like we're all against you. I mean, they're all against me, and I'm like, oh, so yeah, I switched schools, and the targeting switched as well, but it continued on. So you get singled out off Top Street. Yeah, so even my social media, I had gang stalkers as well on all my social media. People from high school, middle school, elementary school, they would stalk my social media. They wouldn't even follow me. They wouldn't even like or comment, nothing. But they were keeping up with everything, like obsess over whatever I post, obsess over anything that I do, and just constantly keeping an eye. Like, you're watched. You're being watched by the people that don't like you, the people that hate you. And I had my social media one time on public, and I have this girl walk up to me and tell me, "Why is your social media on private?" And I said, "You don't even follow me. How do you know?" So they would stalk my social media, like constantly just keep tabs on me, waiting for me to do something wrong or waiting for something bad to happen so they can go and share about it. And they would never like my pictures, and then nothing, but they were keeping up. They were like, "Oh, I saw the picture you posted," and I was like, "Okay." And it was so strange to me. I was like, they treat me horribly, but why are they always watching what I'm doing? Why do they have so much interest in every little thing, every detail about my life? They want to know every single detail. And if they don't have that information, they'll make it up. They'll make anything up that sounds like they're right. And they were always wrong about me. Like, I was like, they would always say lies about me, and I was like, that's not who I am. Or they're like, I know. Oh no, you're not gonna tell me that. No, you don't even know me. You're not gonna come with that paranoia type of thing. Insults. Get off. Can't stand when people do that. Sorry to tell you, but it sounds like you're paranoid. Be quiet. So, I forgot what I was saying. So yeah, so they would do that too. And they discredit you, they gaslight you, they treat you bad, and then the next day they're nice to you and they gaslight you. That's exactly what targeted individuals go through, and that's exactly what I went through a lot. Like, the whole gaslighting, like, that never happened. I never said that to you. And even in high school, I remember a teacher told me one time, you're not gonna amount to nothing, you're not gonna be anything, in front of the whole entire class, and saying like you're not gonna ever be able to go to college because you don't even know how to do this, or just like that. And the whole class would laugh at me. Like, it was it was so intense. Oh, I'm gonna stop using that word, but Yeah, so yeah, like social media, you go through that. I went through online cyber attacks, people from high school doing all that. Um, just watching me, they would watch me in big old groups. They keep their eye on me, and then they would come towards me and attack. So, and yeah, I wouldn't do anything. I would just mind my business, keep to myself. I wouldn't even talk that much to no one, and they still had a problem with me. They always had some sort of issue. Remember that word that says, I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept me saying, they will keep yours. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, I've always been like a very happy type of person, like always happy. Even when I was going through like all that growing up, I was still happy. I still found a reason to smile. I still found a reason to be peaceful. I still found a reason to be loving and to be being my true self, regardless of everything that was happening around me, regardless of how other people were treating me. I still kept myself true to who I really was. And I didn't allow them to change me. Because even when I would try to change and be like pretend to be similar to them, it would it would make me feel so bad internally. Like when I'm not being true to who I am, I feel that in my soul. It disturbs me a lot. Like I need to be myself. I can't be something that I'm not, because then I feel like I'm going against who God who God called me out to be. But even I didn't fit in. Even when I even I didn't fit in. Like even though they didn't like me and they would attack me, I still didn't feel like I belonged. Either way, I still didn't feel like I belonged. I was like I still don't feel like I belong. I kind of feel different. And even when I try to like to do what they do, I just can't. It's just like I'm it's not like they're allowed to do whatever they do, like that's their life. But with my life, it was like I can't be two-faced. I can't be a gossiper. I can't talk bad about people. I can't try to tear someone down. I can't be like nasty and backstab people. Like that's just not my character. That's not who I am. And I'm really real to who I really am. They say you are paranoid because they know that they are guilty of those traits from that evil flunky spirit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I always stay true to who I am. I'm not gonna allow anyone to like change my perception of me when I know that it's not true, that they're just lying. And so, okay. So I already went with the high school experience. Now I'm gonna go with when I left the covert narcissist. I lived with my father for a little bit of time, and I have I have a stepmother who hates me. She hates my guts. Ever since I was a little girl, it was always problems. My childhood was very traumatizing. Um, there was a lot of injustices, a lot of cruel things that took place in my childhood. I'm not gonna go into detail, but just a glimpse is that yeah, like I come from divorced parents early on, like 3 years old my parents divorced, and that's a blessing because they were both narcissists. So it's better to have one narcissist than have two together. That's a mess. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that, because two narcissistic parents together and attacking me, yeah, no thank you. I'm good with one. So um yeah, so I left my covert narcissistic mother, and I moved on with the malignant narcissistic father and my stepsisters and all that. Um, and yeah, they were targeting me. They would gossip behind my back. They would. I felt the. I felt it. I felt the animosity. I felt like the jealousy, the envy, and like they didn't really like me, but they were just tolerating me. And that's how I've always felt, like they just tolerate me, but they don't stand me. And so yeah, I decided to finally move out alone and cut them all out of my life. I was like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. I don't want no more narcissistic people in my life. I'm cutting ties with all of them. I'm cutting ties with all of these not nasty fake people, these people that betrayed me and do nothing but hurt me and use my trust against me and use my love and compassion against me. I'm done with that. So I totally went into isolation mode. I mean, I've always been isolated, but this moment is like, I'm going to start healing. I'm going to start doing the internal work. And I moved out, but here's the thing. When I moved out, they placed a malignant narcissist to live with me downstairs. I've always, cause I'm a target individual. Of course, they're gonna put another narcissist to destroy me again, so I don't heal. But no, okay, I'm getting all over the place. But here's the other thing. Every neighbor, there was always a noise campaign. So I had the neighbors, throw stuff on the wall, bang on the wall in elementary school, slam the doors. Always problematic neighbors or something like of that nature. I went on to, when I moved out, I lived with another neighbor, and this neighbor had children, and their children would grab like a basketball or a baseball, and they would throw it on the wall back and forth like that, throwing a ball on the wall back and forth, where all you hear in my wall is this. That's all you hear, is just banging on the wall late at night. They wouldn't even sleep. And I was like, every day, how are these people just disturbing with the noise campaign? And I would get irritated, and I was like, can this stop? Like, I was so irritated, and they would slam the door like, boom, and again, boom, and they would come out and boom. And then when they would come out of their door, they would act like nothing happened. Like, oh, hi. But they would bang on the wall like that. Boom, boom, like, just loud noises. And I was always sleep deprived. Since a little girl, since middle school, since high school, always. And I remember that. I remember going on walks and the dogs barking too. And now that I'm older, and now that I really know what was going on, it makes sense. I'm just glad that it makes sense now. Like, everything that I went through, it makes so much sense, and I understand my experience. And it's like relieving. I'm like, now I understand why I went through all that. Now I get it. Now I know why. It wasn't me. I wasn't the problem. It was just this program that's meant to desensitize you, to destroy you, and to trigger you all the time. So let's go on to the next chapter of my life. So after high school, I leave the covert narcissist, go with my father. I leave him as well. I end up living alone. I cut ties with everyone, okay? And no, they're not happy, trust me. Narcissists are not happy when you cut ties. They try to hoover me again. I had my covert narcissistic mother come back, and she tried to hoover me again, and I fell for it once. I went back into that toxic home environment, and the abuse got so much worse. It was like I was a ghost in that house, because the narcissist was mad that I left. I left her. So the abuse got a little bit too high, and I was like, I can't take this, I'm out. Because they get vindictive. They get mad if you leave them. So I was like, I'm never coming back. And I said that. I said, you know what? I'm done. Like, this is too much. So I ended up ending the relationship with the covert narcissist. And they try to come back, but I always pushed them out. Like, nope, no, you're not coming back. You know, I love you from a distance. Because I still have love regardless of their narcissistic personality disorders. I still have love because regardless of it, that love that I had for them, it'll never die. Like, when I love someone, even if they've done me wrong, even if they betrayed me, that love in one way it'll still be there. Um so yeah. So okay, where am I? Okay, so I've shared this story a lot already, so ambient abuse is noise campaign. And okay. Alright. You know what? I'm just gonna share this. But when I was leaving the covert narcissistic mother, I was suffering. I was crying a lot, like at night. I wasn't able to sleep because like I was I was drained. Not only drained, but I was just like done. I don't know how to explain it, but I was tired, exhausted. I had nothing left to give. Like I was just like I was like I was exhausted beyond measure from giving so much to the wrong people. And I was crying. I would cry intensely, you know, because the pain was so bad that I was feeling. Like, it was intense. Because, you know, my mom just discarded me and she threw me away as if I was nothing. Like, she's done using me, so now she's just gonna throw me away. Like she looked at me with so much disgust. She would look at me cry and she would just stare at me like this with a blank stare. Like, look at me crying, and she would just look at me like as if it was nothing. But I don't blame her because it's like it's a personality disorder, so they're not okay. You know, they're not good right here. They're not good in their heart. So I can't. That's just a narcissist. Like, can't expect much from a Jezebel spirit if that's how they are. So yeah, you know, it was just terrifying just seeing how blankly the stare was. And just ignoring me. And she ignored me like I didn't exist, like I wasn't even in the room. And I would cry a lot because I would talk to her and she would look at me. She wouldn't even look at me when I would speak to her. It was like I would tell her, oh, how are you doing? Or how's your day? And she was like, good. Yeah. Okay. And? Uh-huh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I would just talk and I was like, she'd just ignore. Yeah. Okay. Are you done? Do you need anything? And it felt so bad. It felt so bad, but it hurt. I would cry a lot and I would cry to God. I started crying to God. I was like, God, please get me out of here. God, please help me. And I was like, God, please help me find a way out. And because I didn't have money, she abused me financially as well. She took all my money. She took all my money. She was like, I need to pay the rent money. Give me money. And I was like, okay, here's money. So I had no money left. I shouldn't be laughing. This is not funny. This is not even funny. Let me go back. So, yeah, you know, I was just praying for a way out to get out. And I made it out. I made it out. But as I was crying to God, the neighbors and everything, they would ignore me. They pretended like if they didn't hear me. Like they didn't care that I was crying. It's like, that's what I'm saying. No one reaches out to help. No one reaches out to tell you if you're okay or if you need anything or if they can help you out, whatever you're going through. They just ignore you. It's like I was silently suffering and everyone else was just like, oh, I don't see anything. Not my problem. Everyone's like, not my problem. And Oh, that was cold-blooded right there. That's cold-blooded. When no one, as a target individual, no one will reach out when you're crying, when you're going through things. It's like they're like, oh, okay. It was bad. That was so cruel. Like if I saw someone suffering like that, I would definitely go out and like hug them or be there or ask them if everything's okay. If they need anything, I'm here for you. Yeah, the discard was But the worst was the neighbors. They acted like they didn't see me cry, and I would cry really loud. And they didn't like they were just like I don't hear anything and not like that. So wow. But I cried to God intensely. I cried to him and I told him, God, please God help me. And I got out. I got out. Yeah, they like to kick you when you're down too. I've seen that. They inwardly enjoy seeing us cry. Yeah, because they see us happy. They see us happy all the time, smiling. And they see us with so much, like, they see the light, the Holy Spirit, so they think like, oh, like, they deserve whatever. I don't know, it's just envy. It's envy, it's hatred, it's all that, whatever is inside of their spirit. But yeah, you know, even when I would cry at my dad's house, the people there, they would like ignore me. Like they just like, okay, like she's crying, and they would even tell me to be more quiet, like don't cry too loud. They're like, can you be a little bit more quiet because we're trying to sleep? Or I was like, wow. That is just the humans. Sometimes some humans can be cold. Ugh. 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 And then they would hang out. They would go to the beach. And guess what my dad would do? Send me back to my mom's house. Oh, I'm gonna drop you off at your mom's house for a couple of days, and just so you can try to make things right with your mother. And they would put pictures on social media that they went to the beach, that they went to these nice fancy restaurants, and I was at my mother's house. Meanwhile, they were all going out and, you know, going to places and stuff like that. They had me at my mother's house when I was trying to escape her. They would put me back in that situation. They would put me back into that toxic, abusive environment. So I'm not playing victim. This is my real life story. This is my testimony. This is exactly what was going on. I'm gonna have to block some people out from my social media permanently because some of these people don't have any empathy, and I could just tell. I can't stand people who re-victimize people. That is something I despise. I despise people who re-victimize people. Oh, you're being too emotional. All you do is complain. Let people have a voice. We've been silent enough. We've been silent enough. We don't need your toxic enabling behavior, enabling abusers, enabling sick people. You don't How do you stand for good if you enable the evil? So yeah, you know, they would post pictures and would show me, oh look, we went over here, we did this and that, and stuff like that. So I finally escaped it because I saw like these people don't have my best interests at heart. They don't want want what's good for me. They want to see me suffer even more. So I cut ties with all of them. I was like, that's enough. I'm not going to allow these people to control my life and make me suffer even more than what I've already gone through. That's enough. Enough is enough. That's what I said. Enough is enough. No one's going to control my life. No one's going to be, over here dangling me like a puppet. So yeah, I went into isolation. I started healing. I I cried it all out. I released all that pain. I just full on just gave like healed. And when I moved into that to this apartment, right? They placed a malignant narcissist downstairs and I was upstairs, and I was being targeted by the malignant narcissist because I'm barely healing from a narcissist, and I have all these codependency issues, and I have PTSD, and I have not PTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It's complex. And I have anxiety, and I have depression, I have all this insomnia and all these narcissistic abuse syndrome, all the symptoms of going through narcissistic abuse. So that malignant narcissist, the first week or so, gives me the narcissistic stare, just a blank evil stare. And I was terrified. I was like, oh no. And my PTSD just went boom, like that. My PTSD went off the roof, like, ooh. And I was like, oh no, the malignant narcissist is here. And I wouldn't even get out of my room. I would stay in my room all day. And I would eat whatever I could find. I was just like, I don't want to see the malignant narcissist. I was terrified. I was so scared because it's like you're in war. You're in a war zone when you're with a narcissist. It's like war. Like you go to war when you live with someone and you're growing up with a narcissist. It's war. It's total war. War on your soul. War on your peace and your happiness. So, the malignant narcissist targeted me and would start moving things in the refrigerator because we all shared the same fridge, right? It's like a roommate dorm type of living situation, and she would grab certain items in the fridge that I would buy and I would put in there, and she would move it all around, and she would constantly move my stuff and displace it. And I would open the fridge and I was like, where's the ranch? And I would look everywhere and it was always hidden somewhere else. So it's a bunch of gaslighting. And I bought a salad once and she would steal my food as well. So it's just a narcissist, narcissistic behavior. Stealing, gaslighting, crazy making, doing things. So that was really bad. And once I asked the landlord if I could move out to a different dorm to get away from that malignant narcissist, they took a long time to find me another dorm. But that malignant narcissist started a smear campaign while I was living there, bringing other people and saying things about me that weren't true. So I would have people hang out right in front of my place and they would scream at me. They would insult me. They would look at me as if I was a bad person. I would sing and they were like, shut up, or, just really nasty. And I had people watch me even from outside my window. They were keeping an eye on me. And I was like, I'm trying to heal from narcissistic abuse. And now I'm going through another smear campaign. Oh, so many smear campaigns. All my life, smear campaigns. I'm never going to escape a smear campaign, so might as well not even care about the people's opinion. So, yeah, that was another smear campaign, I had even the police park right in front of the window, and every time I would open the window, the police car was, parked right directed towards me. And just watch me. And I was like, okay, what's going on? I moved into a bad area as well. Um, I mean, it's a pretty bad area, and you know, I packed all my things in that dorm, and I was like, I'm getting out of here. And I left, but it took a long time for them to find another dorm. But guess what? This is the worst part. As soon as I get situated into the next dorm, yeah, where's the perp? You can't see it. As soon as I get situated into the next dorm, they're setting another narcissist to live near me. They set another narcissist to live near me. And wait a minute, you guys. I'm forgetting a whole another event that happened before I moved. So while I was living with a malignant narcissist, I'm trying to remember. It's because so many stuff has happened. So now, as I'm living with a malignant narcissist, I'm getting workplace mobbed as well. So workplace mobbing is taking place. My dad got me the job. He got me the job to work right near where I live, and the boss knew my dad, and the people that worked there knew that I was his daughter. So they were all aware of that. My dad is trying to hoover me back into the relationship using my boss as a flying monkey to be in the middle, to carry information and to inform me. So it started off like that. It started off like, oh, you know, your dad misses you and he's been worried about you. And he told me to watch you, to keep an eye on you, to make sure that you're okay. And, you know, I'm not going to pay attention too much to the comments because I'm just speaking from my testimony. So, I made a video on this already of my workplace mobbing experience. And so the boss was just saying, like, your dad misses you and he's worried about you, and he wants me to keep an eye on you because it's not a safe area and I have to watch you. And I was like, watch me? And just they started grooming me towards the beginning, and then as soon as I told them to not speak about my dad because I'm not going back into that relationship and I don't want anything to do with my dad anymore, they got mad. And I even talked to the human resource and I explained to her what was going on, that they were bringing personal family issues into my workplace, and it was very unprofessional. And you know, it's not right, it's not ethical. And so as I was working there, they began to isolate me, began to ignore me. They began to like give me a lot more work than anyone else. Like they would put a lot more responsibilities, like do this, now do that, now do this. And they would exclude me, like they would buy food for everyone and then they wouldn't get anything from me. So it was like they were just trying to make me feel like you don't belong here in this job anymore, and we're gonna treat you like you're not one of us anymore. So kind of like, yeah, targeting. So yeah, all that, and giving me stares, gossiping about me, laughing, all that. So I had that workplace mob situation, and they started. It was pretty sure the boss was a narcissist or psychopath, one of those two, because I know exactly what I'm dealing with. I know how to tell the difference between a toxic person and a narcissist because I'm so used to studying and I'm so used to dealing with them all my life that I recognize when there's one in sight, when I'm near a narcissist, like a real narcissist, a narcissistic a narcissistic person with narcissistic personality disorder with cluster B personality type. So they're psychopaths and sociopaths as well. But narcissists, they care more about shame. But a psychopath, they don't care. They cross all limits. They don't carry shame. And a sociopath, they go in between with psychopathic tendencies and narcissistic tendencies together, and it creates a sociopath. You can also have a covert psychopathic abuser as well. Some of them can be very covert as well, with psychopathic tendencies, and that's a dangerous combination. Like malignant narcissists, they have high psychopathic tendencies. Covert narcissists, they have more sociopathic tendencies. But they all have this antisocial, this grandiose sense of self and entitlement and lack of empathy. They lack empathy. They're devoided from certain emotions. They can't feel genuine happiness. They feel better about destroying other people to make themselves appear better, because when I walked into that workplace, I already had my spiritual awakening. I had my spiritual eyes wide open. And I walk in there with just when you're spiritually awakened, you're like, I don't know, you're elevated. You're very elevated. It's like you've awakened, so that means you're gonna be a little bit more up here than those who haven't awakened. Your consciousness is much more like you see the whole big picture of the life, of the world, And I walk in there and envy, competition, mimicry, copying, all that. So once they finally target me and I can't take it anymore, I end up putting a resignation letter to leave that job place, and I end up resigning. And when I end up resigning, I ended up resigning. But when I was in that workplace, towards the end, they started actually doing all the targeting individual symptoms. So I started off feeling very dizzy. I would get massive headaches, a lot of compression, a lot of headaches, but it wasn't headaches. It was like your head is like boiling, like it's like your head feels like it's so painful. The types of headaches, it's like directed right here, your frontal lobe. And then I had the red eyes symptoms as well. I had my eyes were red, and I was like, why are my eyes so red? And then I had fatigue, tiredness, exhaustion, dizziness, vertigo. You just feel like you're all over the place, and stuff like that. I had the boss one time give me a gift, and I was like, I'm not taking it. I don't know if you cursed this, so I gave it back. I returned it back to the person. But here's the thing. Let me get one thing clear, you guys. My family, they do witchcraft. They do magic, like black magic, white magic. They're into that whole occult, that whole type of spiritual witchcraft, like voodoo, I don't know, like curses, hexes, all that. So my dad's side, that's what they do. Like they love all that spiritual type of stuff. And one time when I went to my dad's room, he had this skeleton. It's called Santa Muerte. It's a it's a it's a saint that signifies death, something like that. The spirit of death. And it's like this reaper that holds has a thing like that, and it's just a skeleton. And I was like, why do they have that in their home? Like, shouldn't they only be praising God, Jesus Christ? Like, that's the only one they should be praising. Why do they have this demonic household item, Santa Muerte? Like, I was scared. I was like, oh no. And I stayed there a couple of days, and I was like, this house has bad energy. Like, I can feel the demonic energy in this house, because your home also you have to take care of your home as well. But you know, it was just something like that. And so yeah, they had like the Santa Muerte thing, and I was kind of like, whoa, what's that? Like, that's kind of scary to see that. But yeah, even like all my dad's family, they do witchcraft, like Santeria, all that. They believe in all that. And I escaped it, so I turned into their enemy. So what do you expect? A bunch of death curses on me. Ooh. So yeah, when my targeting began, I started to see the cars and everything. I started to see all the vehicles just drive like back and forth like that. And the first days, I was getting targeted with the electronic energy weapon. No, not the electronic, the energy weapons, the directed energy weapons. I was getting targeted with those, but then like they stopped using that on me. It was like for the first week or so that I experienced that, like when it barely began. The first thing I experienced was the burning sensations. I don't like the burning laser thing that they use. My legs felt like they were burning when I would sleep. It was like burning. Like, I was like, is it the blankets? But no, it was like this directed energy weapon thing that was burning my skin, and it would leave like red welches on my skin like that, on my legs. And then like I would have people in my apartments, like outside of their balcony, and they would just stalk me, like just monitor me, watch me. And I would just come in and out of my door, and they were always standing outside there just looking at me and observing me. And once I moved into this other dorm, I had the another narcissistic neighbor, stalk me like every single day, trying to build a profile on me. So it was like, I felt like she was always just standing there, like listening to everything that I was saying. It was like constantly gathering information about my life, about what I do and everything. So that's what was going on. And so yeah, I went through the burning one, and then the other one was the V2K. I experienced it once. Only once. I've only experienced that once. And that was when I was sleeping, and it was like 4 a.m. or so. 4 a.m. in the morning. And as I was sleeping, I started hearing like these voices speaking in my ear. And I woke up and I was like, what was that? And I started of course, I started going on my phone, just searching up like what's happening, like this and that. And I found the term. and I found the term targeted individual. And I was like, I kept on reading and reading and reading. And as I was reading, I was like, whoa, like, wait a minute. I went through this. Wait a minute. This is what's happening to me. Wait a minute. This is what happened to me at work. Wait a minute. This is how I've been treated. And I was late at night. And that's when I figured out that I was a targeted individual. That's the day that I figured out that I was a targeted individual. I was like, that's what I'm going through. I'm a TI. So it was just like I was just terrified at that moment. I was so terrified, and I had a therapist at that moment who was making me feel a lot worse about being a TI. Like, you know, like they invalidate you. They do all this type of mind games with you as a TI. So it's like, yeah, I figured out, like, wait, that's what I am. That's what I've been going through. You know, the cars following me. When I go to the grocery stores, I have people following me in different aisles of the grocery store, watching me and like looking what I put in my yeah. So I'll get into more detail about the whole experience as a TI as well. I'm gonna go into detail with that too. But I want to say that, yeah, that night I realized what I was. Like, I realized it. I was like, whoa. And like the next night, you guys see this window right here? I've shown you guys this window several times. I had drones, like late at night drones, just the little bright lights on the drones just face my bed, cause my bed's right there. So I was just like, I would look at the drone, and it was late at night, and it was just like this bright light just glaring at me. And excuse me. Yeah, helicopters as well. So yeah, they do that. They use drones to scare tactics, intimidation tactics. But this other guy that was stalking me for a while, he's a gang related person. And as I was sitting one time outside in the bench, oh yeah, there's no fear, I'm just speaking on this. He just approached me, and he started asking me questions, like if we were like, as if we were really good friends. And he was telling me like, what's your name? And I was like, oh, Adriana. And he's like, oh, and where do you live? And I was like, oh, I live here. He already knew where I live. Like, he wouldn't have to ask for that question. He already knew. He's been watching me. And he asked me, where do you work? And where do you work? And what do you do for work? How much do you make for work? How much do they pay you for work? And do you like working? And then he asked me, what's your biggest fear? What are you fearful of? And I said, oh, I'm fearful of spiders. And then he asked me, have you ever thought about being a model? And I was like, being a model? I was like, no. He's like, oh, well, you should be a model. And just like interviewing me and just acting so friendly. I was just sitting down on the bench, and he just approached me with all these random questions. And he didn't give me any information about himself. He just wanted to know what information about me. And that's when the targeting began. This is the beginning of it. Well, no, it's not the beginning of it. I mean, this is just like the whole interviewing, when you get agents sent your way to just surveil you and gather information about you. So that's what it was. And yeah, he asked me like, what are you fearful of? And one night when I was sleeping, it was 3 a.m., they projected spiders onto the wall, like these big old gigantic spiders, like huge spiders, late at night, onto this wall right here. You see, like there were gigantic spiders just going from here, like they were projecting it, like as if it was moving like that. And I was like, there's gigantic, but they were huge. They were like projected off of this thing right here, this right here window, being projected off of here. And then now that I remember, and I remember that conversation, I remember him asking me, what are you fearful of? And I said spiders. And now it makes sense. They use spiders because that's one thing that I told them that I was fearful of. And they use spiders as a scare tactic. And now it makes total sense why they use spiders to project through the window onto the other wall. So yeah, that happened in my, that's one thing that happened. And yeah, I wish I could have recorded it too, but I was scared. So I didn't have time to do that. And plus they always end up deleting my recordings. They always end up, you know, messing with it, like the camera and all that. I can never do good recordings. I can't do good recordings with my phone. It's like it gets me so yeah. So yeah. What else? I had a lady too who was trying to groom me. She was like, "You're so beautiful." It was all fake. I was like, I could feel her genuineness. Like she wasn't being sincere, but she was like, "You're so beautiful, and we should hang out, and you're so pretty." And she's like, "I love you." And I was like, "I barely know you. How do you tell me you love me if I don't even know you?" But she was like, "Oh, can you help me one of these days?" And just, she was another one stalking me. And they started getting maintenance. They started getting the landlord involved as well. All the neighbors. Okay, this is where it really gets. Because now I know that I'm a TI. Now I'm fully knowledgeable and I'm aware of what it really is. So this is when it starts getting real. So I hang out with one of my friends that I have, just one friend that I have, and as I'm hanging out with him, the maintenance people, late at night, he's waiting to go back home, and the maintenance person just comes out of nowhere, out of the blue, like out of nowhere, and just tells me, "Oh, who's this?" And I'm like, "It's my friend." He's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Oh, and so that's your friend, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's my friend." So, but it was just the anger, like you shouldn't be with nobody, like you should be isolated. And I remember that. I was like why does a maintenance person care so much about who I'm hanging with? Why does that maintenance person just come and approach me and ask me who is that? As if like I'm not allowed to talk to anybody. As if I'm not allowed to talk to another person and hang out with another person. Why just me? Why would he just approach me and just ask me, "Who's that and who are you with?" Like, nope. That's not right, because they wouldn't do that to other people. They wouldn't just go around other people and be like, "Why are you hanging out with that person?" or "Why are you hanging out with this?" No, that maintenance person is part of my targeting. No, you guys don't understand. I think I'm gonna end it. You guys are just gaslighting me. I'm ending it. I can't take it when people gaslight me. He has a crush on you. No, I'm being targeted. You guys have to be serious. What is that? You know, I'm talking about something serious as a targeted individual. This is not something to just be messing around and just being all sarcastic and joking around. So yeah, the maintenance people are involved as well. And you're targeting the landlord as well, and all the other people that live in your vicinity, near where you live. So that's how it started. You know, I get just a random guy just approaching me, asking me personal questions about what am I fearful, if I can, where do I work, how much do I make, just interviewing me. And then after that, I never see him ever again. He just disappears because all he wanted to do was gather information. And then the maintenance guy, one day I'm hanging out with someone, and it was late too. It was late at night, and he just approached me out of nowhere, like he just comes out of nowhere, and he just quickly just comes towards me, angry, like mad, and he tells me, "Who's this?" And I'm like, "My friend." And he's like, "Oh, okay." But I mean, he has no business to begin with. He has no business asking me who is that or why I'm with someone if it has nothing to pertain to him. And so they started doing that, and you know, as I was in my own dorm, they would ask me like, "Oh, you haven't come out a lot. We don't see you that often." And I'm like, "Yeah, you guys probably watch me and stuff like that." And they would change the what do you call it? Those things. But you know, one time as I was walking out, the maintenance guy, he's they're all targeting me at this point, like the cars, the gang stalkers and all that, driving around, you know, following me, monitoring me, stalking me. You know, the maintenance person tells me, "Oh, how have you been?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've been good." And then he tells me, "Oh, okay, have a good night." And it was still daytime, but I was depressed, and all I would do was sleep all day. And so it was just the remark that he made, "Have a good night," and it was still daytime, and I was like, "What do you mean, have a good night?" It was like his comment had nothing to do with it. And then whenever the cars, all the gang stalking vehicles would drive around, and I would try to record evidence, the landlord would step out and come out, and he would smirk and he would laugh. Like I could see his face of like being happy that I'm recording and that I'm talking about the cars gang stalking me, and he would just come out of nowhere, and he would just cross always towards the other side, across the street. But one thing I noticed as I was recording this, the gang stalkers and the landlord, my screen would just turn black, and they would end up like messing up with the evidence. So I wouldn't be able to have any evidence of my recording. But it was several times. It was like continuously. Like another time when I was recording and doing the same thing, that same landlord would come out and walk across the street with a smirk on his face. So it was like continuously, not just one time, not just a one-time event. It happened several times as I was recording the evidence. He would come out and just smirk and smile and walk towards the other side. But they mess with your evidence, they mess with your recordings as well. They end up deleting your evidence, or they end up not allowing you to even record anything because your phone screen will just turn black. Okay, then I had my the neighbors that I live with in my in the place where I live with. The people I live with, the roommates, because it's all just this different roommates that live together. The narcissistic roommate would stalk me towards the beginning, always listening into everything. She would come out and like step right near my door and just like listen to every single thing. I already knew she was stalking me. Like she was stalking me for a long time, continuously, every single day, just silently watching me. She wouldn't even, she would just stay quiet and listen to everything that I would say, and then she would start mimicking whatever I would say. She would repeat it, and she would just talk about the same thing that I was talking about. So when I was making videos on YouTube about spirituality, she all of a sudden would come out and be on the phone or talk to someone and pretend like she was talking about spirituality as well. So it was like this whole mirroring type of thing that was going on towards the beginning. And then I think she was like gathering information for that profile, because she definitely got paid to gang stalk me. And that began. I even made a video about like when a narcissist stalks you and this and that. I made a video about it. And the other neighbors downstairs, they all started to stalk me as well, just listening to whatever I was saying. And they were all getting ready to target just me alone. Like every single one would get together to target just me. And I remember the whole noise campaign. Like, she came up to my door the first day when I moved, offered me a slice of pie, and I accepted the slice of pie. And then she was trying to rush into becoming my friend, like desperately. Like there was a desperation, a need and a desperation to become my friend, to get close to me. And the first thing that happened was she came knocking on my door, calling me a racist, calling me a hypocrite, calling me a white girl, just full on lying to me, to my face, like just making up, slandering my reputation, and just using all these things. So that was her, that's how she started it. Like, you're racist. And she would constantly tell me that you're racist. You're nothing but a racist white girl. You're racist. And I was telling her, I'm not racist. You don't even know me. You barely even know me to call me something like that. And that's what they do. They slander you. They use whatever they can to say about you, to use against you. And they have no proof. They just want to slander you, so they can start to provoke you and get an emotional reaction out of you to make you look like you actually are the one that's abusing them. So yeah, then the other neighbor was saying the same thing, like, you're racist. And I was like, what? Like, I barely even moved here and you guys are already calling me all these names. You guys don't even know me. I don't even know you guys either at all. I don't know you personally for you to just insult me that way. And I'm not. I'm a lover of all people. But the way that they were treating me, I want nothing to do with that type of person right there. Cause they're low level people, because people who join in the gang stalking and harass and watch people and stalk them, those type of people are just, they're lost. They're just, something's wrong with them for them to be able to do that to another human being, to another person. So yeah, she would try to provoke me and just say that towards the beginning of when all this happened, when all this started. And she even called me a narcissist. She's like, you're a narcissist. And I was like, I'm not a narcissist. And I told her, what is a narcissist? She is a narcissist, as a matter of fact. And I know because she gaslighted me, triangulated me, smeared my name, smear campaign. She used a bunch of word salad. She used flying monkeys. She played the victim. She's an attention seeker. She has she copies me, mimics me. She's envious, and she's vindictive. So I was just watching a bunch of videos on narcissism, and that's what I got attacked from her. And You know, every time I would come out of my dorm, of my door, she would come out at the same exact time. She would like the same exact time that I would come out of the door, she would step out of the door as well. Whenever I was down in the kitchen, she would also come down in the kitchen. It was like this constant mirroring type of thing that's part of the targeting individual program, that they copy you, that they synchronize with your movements. When I went to the restroom to use my restroom, she ended up going into her restroom to use her restroom. Whenever I turned on my sink, she ended up turning on her sink on her side. So it's part of the targeting individual program is that they mimic you, they copy you, they synchronize with your movements, they copy things that you do, the way you walk, the way you talk, certain things that you say. So that was going on. And you know, even the noise harassment, like she would bang on the walls, close the cabinets really loud and stuff, slam doors, wash. When she would put stuff to wash in her clothes, she would put heavy objects in the washer so it could make a lot more loud noises. Like she would put like certain things where the washer was just like that, just constantly like really loud. And then the downstairs neighbor with the whole noise campaign as well. The only difference with the downstairs neighbor is he would close the microwave door really loud. Like he would slam the microwave door and slam it like super loud. And he would grab pots or pans. He would grab pots or pans and just slam it on the door like that, super loud. And he would stomp on the wall, like stomp on the floor, so then I can hear it. He would go like this. He would go like really loud, but you can hear just like the whole ceiling just shake. And they would talk really loud. They would even do like fake scenarios, like fake arguments. It looked all like acting. Like everything that they were doing it was very obvious that it was just an act. Like they had to play the script. And then when I was recording the downstairs neighbor, she was like, "What are you gonna do? Attack me?" And that's one thing that they try to do to set you up. They were trying to set me up by calling me a racist and all this type of stuff. I was very aware of it. I was like, none of this is true, and I know who I am, and I could see what you guys are trying to do. Each one of you, you're all trying to play a role, trying to get me in trouble. Yeah, reactive abuse. But the noise was intense. It was very intense. Very intense. Like the slamming. Let me show you guys. I want to really show you guys what I mean by the slamming the microwave, because I'm going to show you guys how it was done. Hold on. So this is the downstairs kitchen, right? This is the downstairs kitchen, and that's one of the what's it called? Gang stalkers. And so they would grab a pan like this, and they would just go like that, like really loud. And then the microwave, they would do this, but over and over again, like that. And they would keep doing it. And that's how they would, that's how the noise harassment was done. But it was like really loud, like that. So, and then they would close cabinet doors like really loud as well, like super loud. So yeah, that's what these gang stalkers are assigned to do to harass you. So yeah, that's what was taking place, and it was intense. The noise campaign was the most intense for my targeting. The noise campaign was very intense. Like a lot of loud noises. Lots of noise. But yeah, even like the washing machine. Like, let me see if I can describe you guys what I mean by it. They would definitely put a heavy object in the washing machine to make loud noises, like to make it so the noise can be a lot louder. And like this, so this, like something like that, just back and forth like that. So yeah, so right, so that's how it is, you know, the noise harassment, as well as the whole street theaters, which the street theaters can also happen with the people that you live with. They can create a whole scenario, they can create a whole script that they have to play along, and to try to get an end result, like a reaction out of you. So this is just, you know, I'm just sharing with you guys my my testimony as a targeted individual. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about street theater as well, and what happens outside of your door. You have people mowing the grass. You have a lot of construction taking place, a lot of loud noise just being targeted towards your home. And it's when you look out, it's all in front of you, like this whole type of scenario of people just all walking, or you got so much going on all at once. Then you have I had people who would stand in front of my door, talk really loudly, and fake cough, or yeah, fake cough, like like that, and just talk really loudly and talk a lot of nonsense. So just things that don't even make sense. And they script it back and forth to one another. They repeat it back and forth. And then I've had people spit, like right in front of the door, like they spit really loud, like and then they spit. The dog barking as well. They'll late at night, they'll walk their dog and it'll be barking, but it'll be directed towards you. It's always directed towards you. And people just coming out of nowhere when you go out for a walk, and they all start coming out and pretending like they're walking as well, just like you. But a lot of people show up as soon as you're just walking. It's like they come out of nowhere, a lot of people, as you're walking. And then the color coordination, the cars, all that. It's all stimuli. It's all classical conditioning to sensitize you with stimuli. And they try to sensitize you with the noise as well to make you even more sensitive to all that because it's repetitively done over and over again. And it's like they continuously do it over and over again. So that whole thing that I was showing you about the microwave and all that, that was done every single day at certain times of the day. They were just like slamming the door, making loud noises. Yeah, I used to react as well when I was, me too. Yeah, because I'm very sensitive to sounds and stuff like that. Even the whole color coordination as well. So with me, it would be like the cars that drive around, like certain colors that the cars are, and then their windows tinted. They're brighting. They brighten their lights, so it's very bright, and it's directed towards you. Their blinkers, the whole light thing as well. They drive really fast. The cars, they have really loud engines and they're directed towards you as well. Or people who play their loud music in their car and they also drive past by you at late hours of the day. They honk, they speed, all that. That's all part of the noise campaign too. And they definitely use things that you like to harass you. So for me, I'm an animal lover. I love dogs and cats. I love both. I love animals in general. And I get a lot of people just walking their dogs all the time. And I get a lot of people with their pets and stuff like that. So they use things that you love and they put it right in front of you, like, oh, look at this, or I don't know. Or things that you eat, like you went to go eat at this restaurant. Next thing you know, the person that lives near you went to the same place. It's a lot of mirroring. It's a lot of mirroring, a lot of mimicry, a lot of copying, and a lot of stage scenarios. But yeah, it's like when I walk, it's like automatically I see a bunch of people with their dogs and stuff like that. So, yeah. Me too, my dog knows. They all came back and said they were sorry for not believing me. Well, like this other time, I've had several times when I would go to the grocery store and it was always it was the same thing. I was still getting targeted, especially grocery stores. They follow you around. They have these agents who follow you around the grocery store. So for me, the first time I would go, I would get some very nasty, hateful stares from just random people. I didn't even know them, and I was just going in the grocery store and they would just look at me with so much disdain and this like they despised me. And I was like, I don't know this person. So that's how you start when you go into grocery stores. You have people looking at you all crazy. And then the people that work in the grocery store, they're already aware that you're a TI. So they're gonna watch you, like their eyes, well, they're gonna send workers to watch you as well, people that work there. And I remember this lady was just following me around. Like, I was going down one aisle and I got food, and I went down the other aisle and I got food, and she was just like following me, like each step along the way. Every step along the way. And I was like, what in the world? Like, why is she following me? Like, what's wrong with this person? And as soon as I went to the cash register, she went to the cash register too. And she just stared at me. She was like, I was like, like, get away from me. Like, who are you? I don't know you. But yeah, she was following me all around the whole entire grocery store. But that's not the only time it's happened. It's happened countless times. The other time I went, I had even the cash registers, they act nasty towards you. Have you ever gotten to check out and found items in your cart that you didn't put there? Not only that, let's talk about when you go grocery shopping, how your items that you like are not there. Like, they remove certain items that you buy, or that things that you really like. They unstock those items only temporarily because you're there. Whenever they get the sign that you're going in there, they start taking stuff off that you like. They start removing things that you always get. And when you go in there, you're looking for strawberries, right? Because you like strawberries. There's no strawberries in that aisle. You like buying your favorite chips. You go down that aisle. Oh, there's no chips for you that you like. Like, they intentionally remove the stuff that you like, that they know that you like and that you'll buy again, and they're not gonna have it the next time you go in there. So, because they're watching what you put in your cart, they're keeping track of everything that you like and stuff like that. But that's what they definitely do. The second time I went to the grocery store, not too long ago, I went a little while back. The people that worked there, they were acting really nice. Like, do you need anything? Or can I help you with anything? And as I was going down the aisle, I already knew that these people were sent to just follow me and watch me. And I go down, I get some strawberries, I get some berries. Then I go down the other aisle. The same guy that worked there, he ends up going in that aisle pretending like he's working as well, like scanning all the things. He ends up turning off the lights in the, those things. He ends up turning off the lights so I can't see anything. And I'm like, why are the lights off? In the freezer area, he turned off the lights. And he kept on following, like, every aisle I was in, that same exact guy was like just pretending to work and just watching me and like stuff like that. And I was like, okay, like, can you not make this any more obvious? Like, it's obvious that you're just doing this. Come on, like. So I was just going down other aisles, same thing. He was right there working as well, doing his little thing, pretending. So yeah, they'll just ask, and they'll ask, is everything okay? Do you need anything? And you already know that they're just following you, and you're like, no, I'm good. No, thank you. And then another time I had an agent, like a young guy, a college student, he looked like he was in college. He just walked past by my aisle, and he made it so obvious. He just walked past by, and he literally, his eyes were just glued to my cart. And he was just like looking to see what I had in my cart. He was like trying to get information, like what I have in my cart, so he can kind of like get a picture of what I had inside my cart. But he just walked past by and he looked in my cart and he was like, okay, I see what you have. They make it so obvious too. I mean, I don't know, but yeah. When they let you know you're being followed, you're thinking, what the hell did I do wrong? Who and how the hell are these people FBI agents? Oh, they'll poison your food as well. They'll poison certain things that you go to the store to buy. They do that as well. So what? It's better to change it up every once in a while. You know, change up your eating routine sometimes. You know, buy something different, try something new if they don't have what you like. Just yeah. They are obsessed with you, totally in love, lol. Totally rob your peace. Once, when my upstairs neighbor was noise harassing with banging, I banged 5 times really hard my table and then they stopped. Yeah, they do that. Like, especially when you're happy or you're at peace, that's when they want to disturb you the most. Like, one time I was just singing all happy and the noise got so much more intense. Like, they try to destroy your peace, your happiness. They're like, nope, you can't be happy. And then they just start with the whole noise. Bleached in my cup of tea twice. Wow. Yeah, they poisoned my water one time. It was this gallon of water that I had. And I come back home and I start drinking from that water and it has like this very metallic taste to it. So yeah, they do tamper with your food and they drug stuff like that. You know, your water, your food. That's why you end up having a blurry vision. You end up feeling dizzy. You end up feeling very tired throughout your days because they do stuff like that. So yeah, there's certain things like that. Yeah, but that's what takes place in grocery stores. You know, they remove things that you like to buy. And you go there and it's not there. Not only that, but the last time I went to the grocery store, the people who were in front of me in the line, they started to talk about something that I usually talk about. I was like, what? You know, they were, I love animals, and they were just talking about animals. They were like, I love dogs, and it was so fake. And the person working there at the grocery store, she's like, I love dogs too, and she's like, I love cats too, and then the other lady's like, yeah, I love animals. I love all types of animals. And she's like, I love all types of animals. Animals are so beautiful, aren't they? And then the lady's like, yeah, they are. That's something I would say. I usually say stuff like that. I always say that I love all types of animals. Now they have me thinking, like, maybe they look at my YouTube channel and that's what they get stuff to mimic me off of as well. Like, they get information off of what I say on this channel. they they use it to later repeat it to you. So yeah. Okay, so that is something that happens in grocery stores as well as a targeted individual. Now I want to talk about my experience as a college student as a targeted individual. What it's like to be in a university level as a TI. So when I started my course, going to the university, the professors were part of the targeting as well, and so were the students attending the institution as well. So as I was walking to the first class that I had, there was a girl who would walk past by me, And as soon as I would go to the other side of the other place, that same girl would walk past by me again. And I was like, how did she get this far? Like, I just saw her. How did she get here so fast? So, um, and then, so yeah, you know, even the college students would be, they're gang stalkers as well. And they'll definitely follow you around the university. And even the police officer would approach me several times and ask me, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm good. The police officer that works on campus would just approach me and just ask me that question. And I was like, okay. And as I was attending class, the professor would use certain words, certain phrases that are triggering towards me. And I'll get to that in a moment. So as he was teaching the lecture, he kept on saying the word targeted. He kept on saying the word targeted the whole entire time that he was teaching the lecture. He was like, and this molecule targets this other molecule. And then this thing right here will target this thing right here. And this targets that, and that targets that. And I was like, I kept on hearing the word target, target, targeted, 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 target, 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 over and over again, repetitively. I was like, whoa. But they do stuff like that. Wow. Even to target you in universities as a TI. And one of the professors that I have would just walk around. As soon as I would go to one of the classes, she would just walk around with her little backpack. And every time, like, it's just repetitive, seeing the same thing over and over again. And that same professor one time, of course, watches my YouTube and started to say, like, you know, teachers, people who have ADD or ADHD, teachers, they know that student is a distraction for the class. And that's why the teachers have to kind of punish or kind of like make that student behave better, because they're a distraction for other students to be able to learn and to be able to get a good education going to school. And that's why students who have ADD or ADHD are medicated, because they're a distraction and they don't allow other students to learn. And they end up messing with other people's education. And I was talking about that in one of my YouTube videos, and he's like, so it's not the teacher's fault. We shouldn't put blame on the teacher. And just like he was twisting my experience in his way to kind of gaslight me and kind of discredit me. And when I left the classroom, I just stared at him. I stared at him directly in his eyes, and I just, like, with my stare, I told him, like, I know what you're doing. And he just turned red, like a tomato, like so red in the face, where he was like guilty and ashamed of what he was doing. I am not stupid to not figure out what's really going on and how they're trying to target me in the classroom setting at a university level, when I've been targeted all my life, and I've already gone through this with elementary, middle school, and high school years. I already know what this is all about. So it's nothing new to me what he was doing, using the word target, targeted, target, target, target over and over again in class. So yeah. So I decided, like, you know what? I'm not even gonna spend my time here, because this is just yeah. So, but yes, this is all my experience. This is my testimony. This is my story as a targeted individual. And and now during this stage, what has been going on is gaslighting. So now that the whole targeting individual thing took place, now they're playing reverse psychology on many of us and using gaslighting as if it never took place, as if we didn't see what actually took place, as if we didn't hear what was being said to us, and as if our reality is not exactly how we perceived it and saw it for what it really was. And they play this gaslighting techniques to make you think that that they're a good person, that they would never be able to do something like that. So it's a bunch of reverse psychology, mind manipulation tactics that are being used on TIs. But just know that you're not crazy. There's many of us who are real TIs. We know what's really going on. And we know how these people play their game. So the best thing I can suggest is ignore them. Don't give them any attention. Just stonewall them. Stonewall them. Don't listen to them. Just continue doing what you're doing. And another thing I have to say is that witchcraft is also used in this program as well. Many of us targeted individuals are assigned a very high-ranking witch in the witchcraft type of thing. There's witches and there's warlocks, and they also do witchcraft towards us to astral project and all that type of stuff. All this is very real. I come from a family of witchcraft, and my family definitely has done witchcraft towards me. And with Jesus on our side, we're highly protected, and whatever they try to do to us will always come back to them, to the person that tries to send those evil spirits our way. Those spirits end up haunting them because we're highly protected. So nothing they say, nothing that they do can ever destroy us, can ever take away from us, because everything that we have comes from here, and it doesn't come from the external validation or external world values. It comes from your soul, your spirit. So I'll be back, you guys. I'll be back. Give me 1 second. Okay. So we already know that also, as a TI, there's smear campaigns being smeared upon us and our character as well. One thing I want to say, that there's also sexual harassment that happens with TIs as well. They use that as well, because that happened to me early on in high school. The whole phone being stolen and them pretending to be me through my account. That was a form of sexual harassment, like things that were being said about me. And there was another sexual harassment smear campaign that took place on me as well during this time currently. and they break into your door, your house, and they move stuff. They misplace certain objects in your house, or they'll place new objects in your house as well, just to gaslight you. So yeah, there's also sexual harassment, like, and someone had drawn a private part on my glass mirror thing, and then the other mirror that I had, it was like graffiti type of like with their fingers, like they did something like that, like they put a symbol or a code on my on the glass thing. So yeah, they do stuff like that, because I've been getting a lot of pervs like staring at me morbidly, staring at me with lust and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know you, like, who are you? Why are you looking at me that way? But it's because they do that. They do sexual harassments on targeted individuals as well, to harass you. So yeah, they change it up a lot. They sometimes they do stuff like that too. But all this stuff is what really takes place with these gang stalkers and agents. I was taking my time, and she comes out and she's like, she talks on the phone and she tells this other person, she takes a long time. She took a long time to go to the restroom, and I was like, what? And I was like, what? Like, how does that bother you that I'm in the restroom for a long time? And she's like, yeah, she took a long time. She was on the phone talking to someone else, and she's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, but in front of other people. In front of other people. She's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm okay. She's like, oh, okay, because you took a long time. And I knew it. I was like, wow, like, they even do that. They fake concern to make you out to be like something's wrong with you. Like that fake concern type of thing that they do. Like, are you okay? How's everything? Are you sure you're okay? And stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and end this live stream. I hope you guys enjoy this live stream, and I'm gonna make more testimonies about my experience as a TI. I'll go into more detail about like the phone and the whole grocery and when you're out in public. I'm gonna make more videos about that. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on my next live stream. All right, bye.